and their little assets were all in so many ways encumbered. That's a major aspect that nobody has come to know, but that's the result of our funding. That has affected that commerce. And beyond that, when I instituted the research with UNIZIC, the outcome of our research on the issue of apprenticeship, which we now call apprenticeship, is that our ethical infrastructure started decaying. Some of these young boys want to get rich quick. What we used to call a boy apprenticeship became no more a fashion. Nobody had patience to stay there for 5 years or 6 years to be dual owner, which is to be settled by his master. So all these things we have studied. The infrastructure is a thing that also is there and is important, but I guess that we have to build and solve these other problems. Today, these companies can't even resurrect themselves. The cost of capital for business is high, and the source of loans are almost impossible. We have already a plan on how to bring life into these businesses. Government will have to use the government cover to support a lot of things, guarantee and bring up the issues. And even in the apprenticeship, which would easily give 30 to 40% of our youth on the street job, we have come up with the research that we have to codename it, remove the stigma of Eba boy because it's no more fashionable Eba boy. So we've even codenamed it Nkwado Ogalanya, that is preparing for your wealth. So these are so many things we have found out what the problems are, and we have solutions. We're very practical in our approach to Anambra issue. And as much as possible, we're going to use like our colleagues talking there, we're going to use the knowledge-based institutions to support most of the things we are doing. We have cracked some of these problems. We have the dossiers, we have the files, and it might also interest you that we already have fairly good number of people in our team that are going to be part of the solution. These are great people with resource, knowledge, know-how, and exposure, and they're involved because I am at the center of it. That's saying if you become the governor, we're coming in with all we have, and I can tell you, it will be very, very miraculous. Look, we have solved this kind of problems in our own practical issue. Look, I am the first airline that emerged post-COVID. It's a very impossible period. It is difficult, but we emerged. So we know how to deal with impossible situation because as long as God is with us.
Dr. Okoko, I'd like to appreciate you one more time, because my colleague and I will just believe that you have a grasp of the issues in Anambra State, and we wish you well. When we return to you, I would like you to be specific about what you do to reverse the trend so that we begin to understand you properly and specifically as it concerns, for instance, we talk about infrastructure, roads. How are you going to raise funds to construct roads? When it comes to other infrastructure, how are you going to practically do them? Because, of course, the money, the budget you get from the federal allocation will not be enough to do it. How would you now liaise with the private sector in Anambra State to reverse the trend of infrastructure in that state? But that will be when we return to you. For now, we have a breaking news. The FCT Police Command confirms attack on University of Abuja staff quarters, Giri, Abuja. 6 persons reportedly abducted. That's just coming in now. FCT Police Command confirming attack on University of Abuja staff quarters, Giri, Abuja. 6 persons reportedly abducted. All right, Dr. Ereke, do an analysis, of the postulations of Dr. Kongo so far. I mean, he has shown that he is a true Anambrian in terms of understanding the facts on ground.
Well, again, there's no doubt in the fact that he has a grasp of the issues. Of course, aided by, he kept on making references to research, to his research team, and it means that they've done a good job at identifying these issues. But one thing I have not heard from him is the strategies that will be deployed, towards overcoming these challenges. He has talked about the apprenticeship system within the Southeast and how the challenges that have bedeviled that system. He has talked about entrepreneurship. He also talked about security challenges, and he feels very, very confident that he has a solution to the security challenges. And even though he has said he is keeping those solutions to chest because he doesn't want to let it out, but then one of the issues is that when you're going into elections, the people don't just want to hear that we have these challenges. The people don't just want to hear that you have identified their problems. The people want to know, how do you intend to solve these problems? What is it that you'll be doing differently? For instance, he has talked about how the APGA government has crumbled the productive industry and productive sector in Anambra State. Now, what will the ZLP party be doing differently from what APGA has been doing over the years? What is he going to do differently? Because he made reference to local government administration and how resources meant for local governments have been channeled to other uses. So what is he going to do differently? Anambra people want to hear what Dr. Obiora Okonkwo will do differently, to address some of these challenges. And so very well he has identified, the challenges, but the solution still remains the crux of the matter. And that is why we have, that is one of the interesting things about democracy, that we have choices from where we can choose. Where we can pick. But those choices have to be choices that are convincing enough. Choices that tell us that if you give me the opportunity to do this thing, I can do it differently. And this is how I will be doing it differently. For instance, the issues of infrastructure, and as you rightly pointed out, the funds that will be coming from the center to the state will not be enough, to address, for instance, the infrastructural decay in Anambra State. Where and how is he going to raise funds, to begin to address that issue of infrastructural challenge. So while I commend him for understanding the challenges in Anambra State, I also want to hear more from him. And I also believe that Anambra people want to hear from him. What is your blueprint? What is your strategy? How do you intend to overcome these challenges?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ereke. Well, we'll return to him in a short while. For now, let's take a short break. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, the conversation continues.
Well, the housing solution we have developed is a multifaceted one. First, we have tried to lead a program to build what we think will be an acceptable and hopefully affordable housing type based on surveys we did in 2015-2016 and construction that started in 2017. And that's going on in 34 states as the National Housing Program.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Finally, the hero of Nigeria's democracy has arrived. He shall usher us into a new phase of development, peace, and prosperity. He is the father of the new Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Welcome to another season of giving Nigerians hope yet again. We are sure of a great future for both ourselves and generations yet unborn. We look forward to your leading us as a nation into our manifest destiny. Though the challenges against us as a people are many, we know that your leadership shall set us on the right path to our greatness. A new dawn beckons on us all, and having you as our president is a precursor to this. Thank you for believing in Nigeria. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Dear compatriots, can be as great as we want.
Let us all commit ourselves to its greatness.
We must be willing to set aside our differences, unite and stay as one.
In our expansive landmass, human and material resources, and plurality lies our strength.
Let our challenges lead us to discover our common ground, and together, let's find solutions.
This will take some time, so it requires patience, tolerance, and forgiveness from every one of us.
Let all hands come on deck to protect and transform our country.
Let us unite and see each other not as adversaries, but as brothers and sisters.
Together, we can build a better Nigeria for ourselves and for the next generations.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA, with support from Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Chelsea will be hoping to continue a hat-trick of victories against teams in the relegation zone when they welcome Burnley to Stamford Bridge. Will they succeed this Saturday? It's Chelsea versus Burnley on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 2:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu and powered by Integral.
All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We still have all our three guests. That's Dr. Obiora Okonkwo, who is candidate of the Zenith Labour Party in the Anambra governorship election on Saturday, Ernest Ereke of Political Science Department, University of Abuja, and Awal Rafsanjani, who is chairman of the Transition Monitoring Group. Well, Rafsanjani, we've had you in the past in discussing elections, off-cycle or general elections. How challenging has it been for your Transition Monitoring Group preparing to observe and monitor this election that some have described as a litmus test of what to expect in other off-cycle elections or perhaps in 2023?
Transition Monitoring Group, TMG, and many other civil society groups in Nigeria who want to observe the election in Anambra, they are finding it extremely difficult because of the difficult environment that these organizations and its members are facing. As a non-violent advocacy organizations that want to ensure that the election are free, fair, and credible, we are finding it extremely difficult to measure those things, because it's not that TMG is observing the election day. It is a process that TMG and many civil society organizations are interested, even from the party primaries. And you know what happened in the party primaries too. Some of the results ended up litigation. Some, of course, it was even a physical fight, and some, of course, it is monetization, of the whole process. So, Transition Monitoring Group has been monitoring and documenting instances in Anambra prior to this coming election over the weekend. And of course, ever since then, we've been working towards ensuring that voters are highly mobilized, sensitized, conscientized, to be able to come out and elect their choice persons based on issues, not based on how much money people are giving. So TMG has been discouraging money politics, both buying and thuggery, as well as violence generally. So we've been engaging a lot of a number of people and encouraging them to come out and elect their their political parties they wish to see succeeding in Anambra. But because of these inherent challenges and threats from both security and non-security, is extremely difficult, to the extent that our observers, many of them, are simply unable to perform that duty now because of fear of being molested or killed by both non-state actors and even state actors. When you see the number of policemen the army, the DSS, and other security operatives that have been deployed to Anambra, that alone can scare you. If you see the real, actualization of the threat by IPOP, you know it is a whole big threat that will, not only demoralize you, but will also send a serious warning to you that if you go out, then you meet their Waterloo there. So voters who wish to have a change or to come and exercise their fundamental right have been already, ambushed. Secondly, the observers who want to observe and ensure that the process is free, fair, credible, and the outcome is legitimate, they are also being ambushed. So we are dealing with a situation whereby there will be election between the security, probably the security people, and the ghost, and some few of them who are having well, protected, security men and women around them. Otherwise, I tell you, if this election is about the people of Anambra, already the people have been deprived because of all these conditions that is becoming totally uncontrollable, as a result of the real security threat by state and non-state actors. So I think the Anambra election, if it goes the way it is, I still insist that if we did not get reasonable number of voters, there will be question of alienation of the voters. There will be question of legitimacy of that process, because it's not enough just to, for example, you have 2,500,000 voters and then you have 5,000 or 10,000 people. I mean, you too, you will know that something is wrong, and as a leader, you will not really say, people have elected you, honestly. So I think it is important that we conceptualize and create. They have fine ideas, but these ideas I expected for the interest of Anambra State. All of them, they should come together, remove their, ego, remove their, money, power, because apparently this election in Anambra, it is also about money. It is also about powerful, rich men that have money that can actually turn back that Anambra to London again. But unfortunately, sadly, there's no that unity of purpose of development agenda in Anambra. What I see clearly is individual who want to just take that state, and not because they want to make money probably, but just to ascertain power, to have control. I think if we continue with this trend, the democracy will continue to suffer negatively in Nigeria.
Our Musa Rafsanjani, I can really share, in your thoughts. I can't really agree less with your explanations. Dr. Kungwa, you appear to be very optimistic, when it comes to the issue of voter turnout for this particular election. And Rafsanjani here has a number of times raised the issue of apprehension, which of course the voters will be facing on the election day, considering the huge number of security operatives who are going to be operating in Anambra State. I also now know that most of the monitoring organizations have withdrawn from Anambra. New ones are being trained, and there's no time to the election. We just have a few days to the election and what have you. But that's just by the way. To be specific now, talk about your strategies to change the course of history of Anambra State with respect to infrastructure. How do you go about funding your project? What are the strategies in place that will enable you to fund your administration in terms of infrastructure, education, health, and other aspects of human endeavor?
Yes. I think that by life and nature, I am a very, very optimistic person. And if you recollect at the beginning of this, I had expressed my apprehension and concern. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
I can't see you. I have expressed my apprehension and concern the same way our brother, the observer, has said. But again, notwithstanding, I've also seen society who are in this kind of a situation, but it became a propeller. It propelled them to defy all odds and go to the polls to choose their leader. The things doesn't have to really be normal for changes to happen. As the other issue that you may not know is that I don't care attitude in our civil responsibilities is also part of our problem here. We seem to be individually comfortable and okay in our little space, and then we leave the most important thing about what seems to be known about how you live, which is governance. We leave it in the hands of mediocres. Okay, so I think that is part of the blame. We have to also blame ourselves, even with the case of IPOB that is threatening. In one of my engagements, I told them, if you want a change, you can start from Anambra State. Go register. It might interest you to know that IPOB indeed had registration. They registered in their droves and they wanted to vote in the governor of their choice. There are things you may not know that we know. So when I talk about this, it is just coming from deep knowledge of the situation. But that's by the way. Dr. Nweke, at the beginning of my own introduction, I had consistently said for the past 2 years that Anambra is in economic comatose, and we're going to bring in a shock therapy. And this shock therapy is coming from direct foreign investment. And they enumerated from the beginning on this studio that this direct foreign investment is nothing less than 10 billion US dollar, which is coming from Russia. It's going to go into road infrastructure. It's going to go into facilities. It's going to go into industrialization, industrial cluster, digital technology industries, and so on and so forth. It's going to go into new town developments and all that. We've said this from the beginning, so it is really not the case that we don't know what's. Look, I am a private businessman, and I'm bringing in private business experience into governance. Before I embarked on this journey, I had made a proper need assessment of the state. And I had also looked back to look for solution, even before embarking on it. Just like you want to do a project, you do your visibility studies, you check out your fundings, you do your SWOT analysis. And if you have to invest your money, you have to be sure that the project has to be completed and the profits and the outcome will be viable. So this is my case in this thing. Before I even said I was going to run, I've cleared all these things and sorted it out. I had said, committed, Anambra people know me, they've heard about me in all my saying. I'm the one who has written a personal commitment letter to Anambra people, which is out there, that I'm going to conduct local government election in 6 months if the law permits, and then with maximum of 12 months. We wrote it and signed it with my deputy, because we know all this cry about roads is really not a big deal. Look, you know, there is a saying in Igbo language that any town that is so far, just like they say, no matter how far a town, if you say Alaska is far, if you say Siberia is far from the rest of the world, there is a next town to it. It's a matter of the ability to solve problems. We have said that with most of these roads we are crying about today started with a little crack, a little pothole, and nobody is attending to it because we have not had local government administration for decades. If you do local government election, you put them there and they'll be solving some of these rural issues. We've said again, we're going to set up a standby road maintenance agency. We're going to involve special funding to recover some of the roads that are beyond the capacities of local government. I don't want to be dragged into the evaluation and assessment of road as a yardstick. For me, by the time we finish, Roads should not even, we'll be doing bigger projects and other people will be taking care of roads. What's about road? People, communities have been building roads. Individuals are building roads in Anambra State. And what is this so emphasis? You just have people who neglected and abandoned their responsibilities. We will recover these things. I don't say that, and my focus is industrialization. My focus is scale engagement. In terms of training, my Anambra people know, and I'm represented in this studio, I've signed MOU with Celestian Fathers of John Bosco. Celestian Fathers of John Bosco are renowned all over the world for their technical education. They are one of the best polytechnics around the world, from university, from USA, Germany. They have trained in the last 5 years over 500,000 Indian youths. And these Indian youths, 70% of them are export workers. We've signed this MOU. We're very practical in everything we're doing. They're coming to overhaul our academic infrastructure. They're coming to our curriculum. And I've started even with them in my individual capacity in my hometown, where they're transforming a boys' school into a polytechnic. There'll be 6 months program that will be,
Dr. Okonkwo, let's interject because we are pressed for time now. And I want to give you the opportunity to also take the question before we come back to our guest here, so you could proceed your response. We have seen a lot of litigation, pre-election, on account of the cantankerous primaries. And we also know from our national experience that after elections are conducted and results are announced, there is a tendency for the losers to reject the results. Under what conditions would they accept the outcome of Saturday's election?
Well, talking about litigation, I know enough to tell you authoritatively that the 3 major political parties are not in this race. If you look at the gamut of litigations, challenging not only the primaries, but their nomination process, these cases are in court, and obviously whenever they end, it will not end well. If, God forbid, any of them will win the election, you will see the case of Bayelsa and the case of Zamfara. You put it for the record. So I'm not bothered about it. But for me, I am in this, like I was telling you before. I'm a businessman. I am very busy. I am here taking risks, dodging bullets, exposing myself at the expense of so many things. I wouldn't be here doing all these things, making all these sacrifices, if I am not just looking for opportunity to leave the right legacy. It's not the legacy of airport or event center. The so-called event center in Anambra State is less than investment I made in Abuja when I was 35 years old. We're talking about 20 years ago as a young man. The place is called the Dome. It's still there for everybody to see. I want to leave a legacy like the MI Okpala, the University of Nigeria, and Soka, the industrial layout, the fastest growing economy in the world. I want to recover the entire Southeast side as economic union. I want to integrate the South 5-state Southeast economy. So now for me, if the election is over, it is free and it is fair, obviously I will accept the result. So, I mean, there's no way about it. But if you have facts that there are some things that are unacceptable, obviously the legal department will evaluate it. And if there's any need to continue action, why not? After all, judiciary has become part of our electioneering process. Good election cases are finally determined in the judiciary. So you should talk about INEC, you should talk about judiciary. It's not out of place. But, for me, when I lost the primary in Anambra State, which, it was clear day robbery, I walked away. I'm not desperate. I believe that if this power is not given to me by God, I don't need it. That's why I don't need any godfather. Look around. I am one person who do not have any godfather. I don't need it. I don't want to be made by man. I want to be, if it pleases God, and for me to be governor. Otherwise, I can walk away the next day and go into my my management meeting. I'm concerned that it's profitable.
All right,
so,
Dr.
Unlike some of my colleagues who are jobless and just looking for a place to pitch and fix themselves.
we understand you have no godfather, so perhaps you are
the godfather yourself.
Godfather yourself. You know, so we like to thank you and appreciate your time, and of course thank you for sharing your time with us this morning, and of course we've also given you the opportunity to talk to Anambrians on the very lofty ideas that you have for the development of the state. We'd like to once again appreciate you for coming on this program. Tomorrow we're expecting to have other candidates like Abuja and of course PDP to also talk to us on this platform with respect to the Anambra State elections coming up on Saturday. And so let's also appreciate other guests. Our Musarraf Sanjani, Chairman, Transition Monitoring Group, TMG. It's been a pleasure talking to you this morning.
Thank you very much.
And of course, Dr. Ernest Tereke, Political Science Department, University of Abuja. It's also been wonderful talking to you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Next is sports.
Head coach Kenneth Rowe has listed Odion Igalo, Wilfred Ndidi and 22 others for Super Eagles closing Group C games of the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 qualifiers against Liberia and Cape Verde this month. The list was officially released on Monday by the Nigeria Football Federation. The Super Eagles will tackle the Leon Stars of Liberia at the Grand Stade Tangier in Morocco on Saturday 13th November, and then fly into Lagos for the final group game against Cape Verde's Blue Sharks at the Teslim Balogun Stadium on Tuesday 16th November. Raw has this time extended invitation to 2019 Africa Cup of Nations top scorer Igalo, who announced his retirement from the international game following that AFCON feat in Egypt. Leicester City of England's midfield enforcer Ndidi, who missed the last round of games home and away against Central African Republic, is back in the team, just as fellow Premier League star Alex Iwobi and Spain-based forward Samuel Chukwueze. Also listed for the crucial games are regulars like skipper Hakmen Musa, Leon Balogun, William Troost Ekong, Kelechi Iheanacho, Moses Simon, Maduka Okoye, and Chidera Ejuke. Meanwhile, Hungary fans have been banned from their World Cup qualifier in Poland after clashing with police during October's draw with England at Wembley. Metropolitan Police said minor disorder broke out as a fan was arrested for a racially aggravated public order offence after comments were directed towards a steward. FIFA confirmed Hungary must play in Poland without fans on 15th November. The Hungarian Federation has also been fined 75,000 Swiss francs. FIFA strongly condemned the actions of the Hungary fans in this latest incident.
All right, so that's it for us today on Good Morning Nigeria. We thank you for tuning in. Join us again tomorrow, same time, 7 in the morning. Until then, look after yourselves. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I am Kirian Umar. Do have a great Tuesday.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day.
NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative and interactive on national issues accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
This is the network service of the NTA.